Hello, good morning. The war on Gaza has long been a theatre of tragedy, but its evolution from a war of revenge into a calculated effort to displace an entire population marks a chilling new chapter. The Israeli war has escalated into a systematic strategy aimed at uprooting Palestinians from their homes with devastating consequences. This shift is not happening in isolation. It is fortified by robust American support, which has emboldened Israel's military and political maneuvers. As the conflict intensifies, the humanitarian crisis deepens, leaving Gaza's residents to grapple with displacement, destruction, and the erosion of basic services in what is now a war for survival. As the region teeters on the brink, one question looms large. How does American support shape this devastating new phase of the war? Welcome to In Depth. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has gained renewed confidence in his military approach to the Gaza conflict, particularly following the collapse of the recent ceasefire deal. According to the New York Times, Netanyahu's partnership with Donald Trump, who has aligned U.S. Middle East policy to support Netanyahu, allows for a more aggressive stance in the region. Trump's backing has emboldened Netanyahu to resume military actions in Gaza, while simultaneously attempting to consolidate power at home by undermining judicial authorities. In Israel, recent escalations include Netanyahu's dismissal of security personnel amid investigations into his aides. On Friday, Israel threatened to permanently seize parts of the Gaza Strip if Hamas fails to release all remaining hostages, signaling a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict. Foreign Policy News stated that Defense Minister Israel Katz announced plans to expand security zones and intensify military operations, including air, land, and sea attacks, if Hamas does not cooperate. Meanwhile, Hamas indicated a willingness to negotiate for a ceasefire. Israel remains opposed to any agreement that leaves Hamas in place. Prime Minister Netanyahu faces a backlash over his handling of the war and the recent dismissal of Ronan Bar, the head of Shin Bet, amid a corruption scandal. As protests grow, the Supreme Court intervened, temporarily freezing Bar's removal until further review.
The conflict in Gaza has recently transformed from a war of revenge to a strategic campaign of displacement, significantly influenced by increased support from Washington, which has impacted the region's humanitarian and political landscape. Initially, Israel's war on October 7, 2023, stemmed from a desire for vengeance. Currently, the conflict has a clear objective: to eliminate the Palestinian issue and displace Palestinians beyond Gaza. The shift is driven by military leadership loyal to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and strong backing from the U.S. administration. American support is crucial in this evolving conflict. Historically, the U.S. has been a strong ally of Israel, offering substantial military and diplomatic backing, which has emboldened Israel's actions in Gaza. This enables Israel to target civilian institutions and pursue aggressive displacement strategies without facing significant international opposition. The Israeli military campaign has led to widespread destruction and displaced over 1.9 million Palestinians, about 90% of Gaza's population. Human Rights Watch has termed these actions as forced displacement, constituting war crimes and crimes against humanity. While the previous Biden administration supported Israel's military actions, it apparently acted as if it adhered to international law and maintained political avenues for conflict resolution. In contrast, the current administration under President Donald Trump aligned ideologically with Netanyahu's government, endorsing a far-right agenda that seeks to displace Palestinians. This alignment has empowered Netanyahu to pursue aggressive policies without restraint. In summary, the Gaza conflict has shifted from vengeance to strategic displacement, heavily influenced by U.S. support and alignment with Israel's right-wing government, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis and complicating political resolutions.
Now, as Gaza faces a war of displacement, the strategic shift from retaliation to displacement raises urgent questions about the role of U.S. support and its implications for regional stability. For all this, we're joined by Dr. Ashraf Singer, who is a world politics analyst for us here at Q News, and Ayman Al-Rakab, who is a professor of political science. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us here on the program. Now, Dr. Singer, we'll start with you. How does the involvement of the U.S. administration, particularly under President Trump, of course, influence Israel's tactics, do you think, especially when it's regarding displacement in Gaza?
It's clear that the United States is giving huge support to the Israeli government, particularly Benjamin Netanyahu. There is no change between Biden administration and Trump administration, but Trump did succeed to make that ceasefire for 2 months, but unfortunately, Israel back again has been working hard to removing any kind of agreement between Hamas and Israel, where in Doha, meeting, they had that agreement. So for 3 phases. So it seems to me like United States it's still approving all the Israelis' operation in Gaza, particularly the one that is occurred like 5 days ago, where more than 400 Palestinians got killed without any reason that the people to pay the price of their life. Even though Hamas what you call it, is taking Gaza for a while, for a long time, and Hamas is responsible about their action with the people. So in Gaza, so this is a clear point. That is, the people shouldn't really be punished in Gaza by the negotiation or the action by Hamas. Even if Hamas is correct or is wrong, but the question now, it's really in the international community, why these people should be punished by the Israelis, defense or Department of Defense. And the Israeli defense minister is still, or has said, he had instructed the military to seize more ground in Gaza and, acquiring more territories in Gaza. And basically, Israel is waiting, 59 Israeli hostages. Of course, they still held in the devastated territory, but people in Gaza. This is my point. That is, we should raise that kind of concern. People in Gaza still, paying that price of that kind of conflict between Hamas and Israel, because the people, either women and children, are and were paying that price, and that price is very high because this is relevant to their life.
Okay, I'm going to bring Professor Al-Rakab in here now. When it comes to Israeli military strategy in Gaza, they talk of eliminating Hamas, but is the truth of the matter that they just want to eliminate Gaza?
Greetings to you. What we have seen after the breakdown of the truce and the Israeli occupation forces ending the ceasefire with deceit on Tuesday and bombing Gaza in different areas, targeting civilians. with estimations by the United Nations, 750 martyrs have fallen since Tuesday, most of whom are from women and children. These are steps to eliminate Gaza. They do not have clear targets. They target the entire neighborhoods, which is very criminal, of course. When we have seen the explosion of the Sadaka hospital, a cancer hospital, which is the only hospital remaining, this bombing of a cancer hospital. This cancer hospital was not very harmful to the occupation. They only wanted to eliminate any sort of life in Gaza, as President Sisi stated that the occupation is making Gaza uninhabitable. Unfortunately, with the sponsorship of the United States of America destructing what's left of Gaza, and we have even seen in the ground offensives in Rafah and Netzarim, and ending with North Gaza, when they ask in the entire neighborhood to evacuate and using starvation as a weapon since the beginning of March, which proves that the occupation is using anti-humanitarian weapons to eliminate the Gaza population. We have seen statements from senior Israeli officials talking about a complete ground offensive in Gaza. He realizes that it's not only to the resistance or to Hamas, it's the entire Palestinian population.
And Dr. Dr. Singer, I'll bring you back in. In what ways do you think that Netanyahu and President Trump's policies are aligned? And how can the United States stand back and watch a cancer hospital be wiped out, as Professor Al-Rakab was just saying? I'll come back to you, Dr. Singer. I believe you didn't hear the question. Professor Al-Rakab was just saying about the tragic events of yesterday with the cancer hospital being wiped out. How can the United States stand back and allow this to happen? Dr. Singer. Okay, I'll come back to you, Professor Al-Rakab, because I think we're having a problem with the line with Dr. Singer there. What do you make of the US's policy when it comes to this? And the international community, you mentioned this tragic event yesterday, the cancer hospital being destroyed by Israel in this terrible strike. Why are the international community not up in arms and doing something about this?
The United States sponsored this war, and they are funding the Israeli occupation. The international community, with all institutions, stand helpless to respond to the situation, and we are witnessing the reformation of the international community. Now we only have 5 states with full membership in the Security Council, and the United States has used the veto more than once to counter any resolution that protects the Palestinian civilians. We have seen the bombings of several hospitals before. We have seen the Shifa hospital being destroyed, and the Auda hospital and others. The 22 hospitals were out of service, and only 7 hospitals were working with a partial capacity. They also used the starvation weapon to kill civilians, and this gives an example of the powerfulness of the international community standing helpless when Gallant was the ICG issued an arrest warrant for Gallant, and no one from the international community responded.
And Dr. Singer, I believe you're back with us now. In what world are hospitals legitimate targets?
Oh, this is really, it shouldn't be targeted at all. Israel really committed a war crime after Israel did claim that the Gaza's hospitals is a hub or was a hub of the Hamas. But after different investigation, it wasn't, or all of the hospitals, they were not. It seems to me like Israel committed a very serious action to target civilians in Gaza, targeted the Gaza inside hospital, outside hospital, schools, universities. So yeah, the Israel army unfortunately made this operation in different scale, destroying every building was serving the Palestinian needs as a human being, as a civilian. Unfortunately, this type of war is very nasty. Never ever this type of war will serve either Israel interests or Palestinians' interests. It's a vicious cycle. We should really stop this type of conflict. Never give the Israelis or Palestinians their goal to establish two states, live beside each other. So it seems to me like now what is Netanyahu plan is completely against the international community, where France and Europe or most of the major countries in Europe, they were and are not accepting that plan by Netanyahu to repeat this type of war crimes in Gaza. And yesterday, French president, denied and didn't really accept any kind of displacement of Palestinians out of Gaza, or this type of aggressive military operation against innocent people there. So one of the major problem now for plan of Netanyahu is how to survive as a politician, and unfortunately, one of that problem is facing all of that kind of corruption cases in Israel, but taking the worst decision just to pursue this type of nasty war against Palestinians will not serve his goal for long term, particularly in the families of the hostages. Will never really admit any type of operations in Gaza.
Yeah, let me just bring Professor in on that, Professor Al-Rakab, on this particular point. How important is this war for Netanyahu maintaining his position?
We have followed up during the past period the Netanyahu crisis with the Shanak Bar and challenging the opposition, and most important, which the ICJ that frozen the court's decision to freeze the Netanyahu decision, which led Netanyahu to wage this attack on Gaza in exchange for forming an alliance with Ben Gvir once again to be the Minister of National Security and to pass the budget by the end of March. Netanyahu is supposed to leave by November 2026. He wants to continue in his office till the new round of elections. Going back to war maintains Netanyahu in his office. And let's go back to before the October 7th events. There were tensions between the court and the Netanyahu government, who wanted to end the deep state and to reform everything in Israel, in the Israeli state. He was even described by being the biggest dictator in the region. Back to the point of waging a war on Gaza or Lebanon, he realizes that the Israeli community is unified when there is an external enemy. But if there is peace, this united position will be deteriorated. He once wages a war on Iraq, on Iran, and of course on Palestinians, as always. That's why he.
Okay, and Dr. Singer, I know you're a very close watcher of US politics. How does this new administration under Trump differ from the Biden administration? Is there a massive difference?
There is a little difference. Both of them agreed to support Israel under any circumstances. So basically, what happened in October 7, 2023, of course, shocked the world and shocked the U.S., of course. Basically, no one can really, at that time, expect that Hamas can really capture and kill civilians. Of course, we understand that the Israeli government, since establishment of Israel, had been killed, like all the civilians. It doesn't matter or didn't matter. But that action by Hamas didn't really accepted by all over the world. But the question, that action by Hamas really made kind of consequences, to kill, more of Palestinians, and which now almost like 60,000 Palestinians got killed, most of them women and children.
Yeah.
So the question now for the future, what's really the major difference, between Trump and Biden? Trump really needs to make peace, but under condition of the U.S. and Israel, condition. This is the kind of the condition.
Okay.
We really need to fight the Israelis' argument rather than the Palestinian argument.
I think we got your point now. I'm sorry to cut you off, Dr. Singer, but we're just out of time. But you did say there that there was a small difference, I guess, between the two. Dr. Ashraf Singer, world politics analyst for us here at Qnews, and Professor Ayman Al-Rakab, Professor of Political Science. Thank you, both of you, for joining me here on the program. And that brings us to the end of this episode of In Depth. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more updates here on Qnews. Have a good day.